I've decided to do a video about my observations about Argentina. I just filmed there and I'm gonna release a new video soon. And these videos that are observations are purely just that. They're my observations. They're not meant to guide your opinion about Argentina. And I think it's important that you know that I'm also like a child of Argentine immigrants to the United States. And so my observations are maybe a little bit different than what you might expect. The Argentines are obsessed with mate, maybe a little bit less than the Uruguayans are, but still everyone has an opinion about how mate is supposed to go. My cousins have a preferred temperature to set the water at. 87 degrees, my cousin Irina would say. Some people get really angry if you add sugar or endulcorante or artificial sweetener to it, and some people, it's their preferred way. Whatever way you like your mate, or anyone likes their mate, one thing's for sure is that it's communal. It's a way to share. There are some rules, so for example, the person that has the thermos is the one that pours the water into the mate and then hands it to someone, and that person will then hand it back to the person who's in charge of the mate. Through and through, I would say people have their priorities in line. In America or in the US or in cultures that really prioritize wealth accumulation, sometimes we can get distracted by the act of accumulating wealth and we think that we need to buy more things in order to make us happy. Well, the Argentines have it pretty clear. The thing that makes them happy is coming together. So when I went to San Juan, where my dad's family is from, I took a trip to Barrial with my cousin Ivan and his friends. His friend group is made up of people that have a lot of money and people who don't have a lot of money. And it didn't matter. We slept on bunk beds and grilled out and had this amazing asado de chivito. It didn't matter how much money you had. It didn't matter how much someone didn't have a whole lot of money. They were going to prioritize coming together as a family or as a friend group. The Argentines are going through a really difficult economic and political time period. It's a real tragedy what this economic and political system and climate has done. And worst of all, it is steal and take away the hope of the younger generation. Because if your day-to-day has to be about making sure that you can put food on the table the next day, and if every time that you had some hope, it was squashed by some government regime stealing money from the people, the future is unclear to you. And you might not even care about the future. You might not have the privilege of being able to think about the future. And I think that's one of the biggest tragedies of the crisis in Argentina, is that it's really taken away hope from people. Lunfardo is the street language in Argentina. And it's really dynamic. It's really interesting and witty. 40% of Argentina has Italian descent. You would say, about Italians, they're witty. They're very expressive. Well, the Argentines are similar. There are so many words that Argentines use that evolve and shift. It's the street language. I think lunfa in Italian, I'm sure I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, it means thief. It's really cool. And it's regional too. There are regional words. Like where my dad's from in San Juan, it's closer to the Chilean border, on the Andean Cordillera, and they use words like huevón, which the Chileans basically use in every sentence. Another word that I love in San Juan is probably not for a family-friendly show, but it's culiado, which means like fucker. So it's like, ese culiado, olvídate culiado. Like, forget about it, fucker. And it can be used in multiple different ways. It could be pejoratively, like, ese culiado. Or it could just be used in passing, like, ese culiado, that fucker. Argentines have incredible food. I would say the ice cream, sorry Italians, is the best in the world. And everyone will have their opinion in Argentina as to which ice cream is their favorite. You could have Fredo, the old school Fredo, Volta, Persico, Italia, Luciano. My favorite of all the ice creams is Cremolati. And if you get the chance, to eat cremolati in Buenos Aires, please let me know what you think. Meat. We have to talk about meat. Now, for a long time, Argentina was known as, the meat capital of the world. It still is. I think per capita, between Uruguay and Argentina, I think they eat the most per capita meat, and it's delicious. But I have a bit of a hot take, which is that the meat inside of restaurants, the meat quality has gone down. Even if you go to La Cabrera or Don Julio, which are basically the best steak restaurants or the meat restaurants in Buenos Aires, I feel like you can still get great quality meat, especially the thicker cuts. So if you're gonna go to a great restaurant like that, order the bife de chorizo or the ojo de bife. But really, the quality of the meat has gone down with one very, very big exception, and that's inside the private asado. Everyone in Argentina who has a home has an area that is dedicated to the asado. It's called a quincho. It's an area of the home that is kind of an indoor-outdoor space where people grill out. And that, my friends, is where you get incredible quality meat. I think still to this day, the best meat you'll find is inside of an asado. So if you go to Argentina, make sure you get yourself invited into someone's home to eat such delicious meals. The best dish in Argentina, in my opinion, is la milanesa napolitana. That, my friends, is a perfect dish. La milanesa napolitana. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about the World Cup. The Argentines obviously won the World Cup at the end of 2022. Messi finally got his much, much, much desired and deserved World Cup trophy. What the World Cup represented for Argentina was much more than just a football game. It was more than just a sporting event. And it was because the Argentines are incredibly prideful. They're proud of their country. For many years, the political system has been something that has made it very difficult for the Argentines to be proud of their country. And finally, in this one moment, the Argentines could be happy. You see, the Argentines are so pride-filled. What's really interesting is that the younger generations still listen to or watch the films or listen to the music or play the music or sing the songs of the older generations. It's a culture that maintains a pride throughout the generations. My cousins, the younger kids that I'd see out at bars and at clubs, they quote and they sing and they watch the movies of Enrique Pinti, of Piazzolla, Carlos Gardel, Fito Páez. These are all names of people who have long passed, but it doesn't matter. So Argentine culture for Argentines is this like holding container that everyone kind of like ascribes to. And finally for the World Cup, when Messi brought home the prize trophy and El Dibu just blocked all the penalty kicks and De Paul was the workhorse. What beauty, what joy it brought to the Argentine, because finally they could say, Vamos Argentina, campeones.